Ashish S. Nichani, and he is a professor, Department of Periodontology, the Oxford Dental College, Bangalore. So, sir, I invite you for giving a talk and a brief introduction. In order to save time, I will go through this briefly. He is former editor of the Journal of Indian Society of Periodontology, national and international Q1 journals, section editors, and chapter contributors for various platforms. He's received several awards and achievements, and I will go directly to request him to go through. Thank you.
I have been asked today, or tasked rather, to speak on the evolving landscape of medical publishing. Now, when people ask me why I joined my specialty, I'm a periodontist, I often comment that science is what actually drew me or attracted me to my specialty. Now, as doctors, we all share a passion for scientific discovery and a willingness to adapt our treatment when research supports a new way of improving our patient's health. How do we do that? Journals support us in our quest for knowledge and keep us on the cutting edge. Today we are expected to work faster. We are expected to achieve more and stay ahead of the curve. Information is what drives what we do. It affects how we plan our treatment, whether our patients follow through. It determines whether our referral sources turn to us, they do the work themselves, or send the patients to another practitioner across the town. Now, what is the changing landscape that we are talking about? So, academics or academia today finds itself in a paradox. We already heard the publish or perish mantra, which has spiraled into an uncalled race, where the finish line is quantity and not quality. In this obsession to stack our CVs with publication credits, research quality and integrity often suffers. Now, in 2016, there was a survey by Nature, which involved over 1,500 scientists. In that, they noticed that more than 70% failed to replicate another scientist's experiment. And over 50% were unable to even reproduce their own results. Now, reproducibility is a word which is a big worry for editors, because every single journal is worried about retraction. The consort statement, which was issued in 1996, is among the first attempts to formulate suitable guidelines to report such studies, and this consort statement has been revised twice over since then. There are some others: Trend, Squire, Correct, Starred, and Grass. As of today, there are around 200 such guidelines which have been issued for various study designs and or research specialties on health research. Now, peer review has evolved over 350 years. It's transformed the scientific enterprise, but is always under intense scrutiny, criticism, and pressure. The comments that you receive from the reviewers, or the critique as we call it, it remains the property of the journal. And these comments are beneficial to authors only if the manuscript gets eventually published in that journal. Now, most of the Q1 journals have a high rejection rate, approximately 90%. So the time and effort which is spent by the diligent reviewers is therefore currently not productively utilized. So how do we change that in this landscape? Can we outsource the peer review process? Now, Rubric is a company which is based in North Carolina, USA, which has a service that aims to provide quick and efficient independent assessments for manuscripts. Similarly, Peerage is a Finnish company which offers a similar service except that it is a publisher-pays model. Skior at the Queen's University, Canada is a not-for-profit service run by researchers for researchers. It is an online registry service that aims to improve the traditional peer review system, which is transparent, accountable, and open by willing scientists. We heard it earlier, we are all running about or behind citations. Metrics like the impact factor, H-index, the journal quartile, they evaluate research quality and influence. The JCI, or the Journal Citation Index, quantifies the relative citation impact of a particular paper by comparing its citations to a global baseline. Now, SNP evaluates the impact of individual citations, assigning greater significance in fields with lower citation frequencies to standardize comparisons across disciplines. The SJR calculates the average weighted citations of publications next in Scopus, accounting for citation rates of the journals themselves. But what happens when these metrics misfire? If you go back a decade, a couple of years back, a well-argued, meticulously researched article in a peer-reviewed journal could define a career. But today, we are witnessing the manifestation of Goddard's law, which states that when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. So, are we stuck in a prisoner's dilemma? Many researchers today operate in a cycle of churning out more papers, even though focusing on quality would yield greater benefits for the academic community. This creates a prisoner's dilemma in academia. Now, let's take two researchers. There is A and there is B. If A sticks to high quality while B defects by going after the lower ones, then B will gain a shorter term advantage with quicker promotions. The same happens in reverse if A defects and B plays fair for high quality. In short, if both choose low quality over high quality ones, they flood the system with fast turnaround research works that may earn quick metrics and promotions, but are likely to compromise scholarly integrity. Now, this table that you see, it indicates that if both researchers focus on a high quality, they receive a score of 3.3, which we refer to as the Pareto dominant strategy. But producing few high quality papers today does not guarantee recognition. It simply means invisibility in a system which rewards volume. Oh, I have 500 papers to my credit. Correct, right? We all like to put that in a CV. If I say I have 50 papers in Q1 journals versus 500 papers in my CV, what would grant me more promotion? Or increments, appraisals, performance appraisals. Therefore, what do many researchers do? They default to the dominant individual strategy of maximizing output by publishing more even at the cost of quality. Though this violates the very norms that research is supposed to uphold. This leads to a suboptimal Nash equilibrium, which we depict here in this table as 2:2. So what's the outcome? A system full of low quality research papers that few cite and almost none remember. Now, we all are used to this word open access, right? This convenient subscription access model has served as the cornerstone of medical publishing for centuries. However, a significant shift occurred within the scientific publishing community towards an open access model where APCs or article processing charges are either paid or it's made free of charge. Open access was made to solve many ills of the current system, but it has brought in a new epidemic: fake journals with counterfeit websites. Now this push for volume has given rise to a parallel economy of sorts, full of predatory publications built on misleading information, profit and editorial malpractices. This is witnessed by the fact that such predatory publications are growing exponentially. But unfortunately, researchers from low-income countries, especially from South Asia, are still falling victim to it. For instance, Iran requires students to publish to graduate. Turkey offers monetary rewards for publications. So, what changed after open access? We came with the hybrid model. A model where authors have the option to pay an APC to make their article openly accessible within the subscription access journal, effectively enabling hybrid journals to publish both subscription access and open access articles. Then we had gold open access, which required authors to pay an APC, granting unrestricted online access to the journal's entire content. Then we had diamond open access, which encompasses journals freely accessible on the journal's website, akin to the gold access journals. Here the authors were not mandated to pay for the article publication. The journals do not derive revenue from the model, but the operational expenses of diamond open access are typically covered by institutional affiliations. So, who tracks this? Internationally, the predatory reports database from cables currently lists more than 19,000 predatory journals, underscoring the alarming proliferation of low publishing outlets. There is also Jeffrey Beal, a librarian from the University of Colorado, who has been tracking such potential, possible, or predatory scholarly open access publishers since 2008, and that he has come out with a checklist for conducting a due diligence to actually identify genuine publishers. We refer to it as Beal's list. How is our publishing changing? Now, web publishing through pre-print servers. What are these? So, pre-print servers typically make research results available to the scientific community before publication. Such deposition of unpublished work ensures wide dissemination to a large group of users, especially for the younger researchers to showcase their work, ensuring clear path for claiming priority of work. Scientists have already started depositing research data in repositories such as GenBank, Dryad, Figshare, Airziv, etc. PeerJ is an open access journal which offers a preprint server for biological sciences. And I'm sure all of you have heard about F1000 Research, which offers a hybrid model that permits posting of manuscripts for public access at the time of submission, besides regular publication. Now, once a paper is recommended by at least 2 reviewers, F1000 Research then indexes that particular paper. The share early, share often approach is also now in vogue. Push permits researchers to share their work through progressive uploading of new versions of their work with an open online interaction with reviewers and other users facilitated by the publisher. So in this process, I want to ask you today, are journal editors getting marginalized? We have a stage wherein we have actors who are playing their part. This complex an interdependent system of scholarly publishing depends on authors, reviewers, editors and publishers. But it is increasingly under strain. And why so? Because the costs of publishing are increasing. The author pay models, the research funders and the libraries are playing a more active role, adding to the complexity. So will the scientific paper and the journal in its present form still remain relevant? Let me take you back to PubMed. Now we all know information about academic publications in these fields is collected by a PubMed database, which is maintained by the United States National Library of Medicine. As of today, it contains over 36 million scientific papers across the last 50 years. In each year, over 1 million articles are published in biomedicine and life sciences alone. Now, this is what a global two-dimensional atlas of the biomedical and life science literature that is based on 21 million English language articles contained in the PubMed database looks like. This is the 2D embedding of the PubMed dataset. And you can see here, across the board, all the medical specialties are visible to you. Now, with this slide, I introduce you to, before I introduce you to the elephant in the room, I spoke about a survey by Nature when I started my talk. Now, fast forward a decade, this was another survey by Nature. It had 1,600 researchers and a majority of them identified a worsening reproducibility crisis, citing pressure to publish as a prime cause behind it. Now, what are we, in the previous slide and this slide, if I go back, do I have a pointer? Yeah. AI, I go in the front. AI. I introduced to you the perils of artificial intelligence. How should editors and institutions deal with AI in scientific publishing to protect integrity and transparency? Transparency should match the scope of AI involvement. If AI is used beyond grammar, it deserves open disclosure. Most AI detection tools operate like black boxes with high false positive rates, deep linguistic and cultural biases, no appeals process, no ability to distinguish between assisted versus authored content. When research is reduced to AI summaries and readers no longer click through to the original sources, we risk a future in which we publish not for humans but for machines. I'll tell you, when I was preparing for this talk of mine, my daughter says, "Dad, why don't you ask Copilot to prepare your slides for you?" So I said, "Beta, your dad thinks differently. Maybe Copilot won't be able to catch up with my thought process." So this is what today's generation is exposed to. The vast majority of authors, I'm sure you will agree, they would object to the use of their work for large language model training without consent and expect attribution when their work informs AI outputs. The current systems which we have in AI model the state of knowledge based on the most available content, not the most accurate content, mind you. If AI can now produce papers that even reviewers don't recognize, And if detection tools are so unreliable, isn't it time for journals to focus more on clear disclosure and better systems for tracking sources to protect the trust in science? So what is the path forward? Is it all dark, dreary? No. Academic publishing is a mirror of how we value knowledge, and right now that mirror is cracked somewhere. The dilemma behind publication is not just affecting research quality, it is also contributing to a surge in article retractions from journal databases. When we empower researchers for quality publishing, this is how we go forward. We should offer courses in scientific writing, ethics, and evidence-based publishing. In addition, we should prioritize our young researchers to publish in established peer-reviewed journals over predatory outlets. Now, how do we do it? It can't be only on an individual basis, right? The institutions also need to get involved. The institutional reforms can start with DORA, the Declaration on Research Assessment, signed by over 3,400 organizations from 166 countries globally, which advocates for fair, transparent, and value-driven research assessment. It pushes for reforms in hiring, promotion, and funding by encouraging responsible use of metrics and addressing structural inequalities in academia. There is also the Leiden Manifesto, which outlines 10 key principles to guide the responsible use of research metrics. It emphasizes that quantitative indicators should support and not replace expert peer judgment, and that metrics must remain transparent, context sensitive, and open to scrutiny. Crucially, it also advocates for valuing diverse research outputs, including relevant works from underrepresented regions. A very important part, because countries like us, we face a bias when we go to publish. That's there. So-called the white language journals, as described earlier. The Slow Science Academy Manifesto encourages scholars to prioritize long-term quality research. Now, while individual researchers can embrace slow science principles, persistent change requires universities to revise their promotion criteria, funding agencies to alter their evaluation metrics, and national research bodies to adopt comprehensive assessment frameworks. CERES, the France High Council for Evaluation of Research and Higher Education, employs a peer review based qualitative assessment that avoids relying on bibliometric indicators alone. It prioritizes the scope of results over the publication count. Similarly, the Swiss National Science Foundation, or SNSF, has implemented DORA compliant practices by replacing traditional publication-focused CVs with narrative formats to promote opportunities for quality publication, which now allows researchers to present achievements through short narratives rather than extensive publication lists. We need to start valuing research integrity, mentorship, and reproducibility, not just output quantity. Institutions should support collective platforms for transparent peer review, promote collaborations over competition, and adopt safeguards like removal of rankings that discourage citation manipulation. Without such reforms, academia may collapse under the weight of mediocrity, which masquerades as productivity. I started with 2 words. Does anyone recollect? I said science and a body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. Now, Newton was not thinking of medicine when he formulated his first law of motion. But still, it still applies to our evolution. We have not remained, or we have not advanced by remaining static. And science is your best advocate for the future. With these few words, I thank you for your patience. And I am a periodontist at heart, so since I always like to end my presentation with this. If anything, please go back and tell your patients to have zero tolerance for bleeding gums. Thank you, Vanan.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ashish, for the wonderful talk, and we have learned a lot from this talk, and you clearly identified certain issues with respect to the Western world and India. I'm so happy to listen to that. Now this is, the forum is open for the questions, so we can take up, and thank you for saving time. So, thank you. We can have questions from the audience, please. Yes, Dr. Dogra.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Venkat from Bhubaneswar. Congratulations for a beautiful presentation. Sir, I have two questions. Question number one is absolutely personal. Since your daughter suggested to go for the co-pilot, did you?
Sorry?
Did you?
No, I told her no.
Okay. It's open for discussion. My suggestion would have been, like, I'm not suggesting you. Like, you have come up with a beautiful presentation. Nevertheless, after the presentation, we should go to the co-pilot and score ourselves or score the co-pilot.
Okay.
What do you say?
Maybe I would definitely try that next time and see who performs better.
True.
Yeah.
That's the first part. And the second question is a little sensitive question. The concerns what you have highlighted about publish or perish culture, whatever the thing. This has been put up by a few bunch of people who are supposedly talented enough, academically sound, but nevertheless, unless we give a solution to that, like you have come up with several solutions, but today's platform, what would you suggest that, like for example, I'm at the UGC. I have to, I'm giving example, I'm not. So I have to create a benchmark which will assess the publishers.
So I will answer this question with two points, sir. I'll come back. Assume you're from the UGC, though you're not. I come from academia. I'm a professor I'm governed by the laws of the Dental Council of India, now the National Dental Commission. As we climb higher in the ladder, we are supposed to have a certain number of points over and above the base to get promotions, and we get evaluated every 3 years by the NDC. The grading criteria or the evaluation criteria is so vague. As Dr. Dogra earlier pointed out, there was the UGC care list earlier, which now completely, you can't find details if you want to also. Similarly, when I was the editor of my journal, the Journal of Indian Society of Periodontology, we had signed an agreement with the President of India when we wanted to get indexed with INDMED and MEDIN, which was the Indian equivalent of PubMed. Now, that doesn't exist anymore. The MEDIN and INDMED has gone off. So the challenges we face in the Indian context is how are we going to bring out our own indexing agencies where our own journals feel that they should go and get. Why do we only go for Web of Science? Why do we only go for PubMed and Scopus? If we get an opportunity in India, I'm sure we would love to go there. Similarly, why should I be with UGC Care? Because UGC is a great body. So I will feel privileged if they list my journal in there. But if the government of India doesn't provide me with the opportunity, where do I go? I then try to get a journal impact factor, etc., etc. So I think the problem lies within us.
Dr. Nichani, I think there's so much to say on this that it will never
Yeah, correct.
This debate will
Yes.
continue until
Yes.
tea and lunch.
Yes.
Because we have no voice. And just we should conclude
thank you for the opportunity. Dr. Vikram, thank you for the opportunity for me to stand before you at present. It was a wonderful experience. Sorry, ma'am. Thank you for
So it is very important to maintain ethics, integrity and honesty in publishing and of course in research. And I think editors have a very, very important duty to follow, which I think we'll all take back home this message from this. And artificial intelligence is there to stay, right? It has been brought to us, over us from the West. But please use it intelligently. Like he said, one of my nephew, I asked him, have you done your work? He said, yeah. I said, how come? I put it, gave it to ChatGPT and it's done my question answer. So we have to be careful of that. So please use AI carefully. Thank you.
Thank you so much.